guys, how's it going? We just want to do a quick welcome back to the UVU review. Guys, we got some sleep, and now we're back to give you some quick updates regarding what the 2020 election is looking like. Just to give you, now here's the thing. Pollsters were completely wrong about this election. The red wave has not materialized at all. It's more like going from low tide to high tide. At the moment, the Republicans are favored to be winning the House. At the moment, right now, Republicans have picked up about 12 seats compared to the 4 pickups the Democrats have made. So that gives them an 8-seat lead at the moment. If that continues, the Republicans will have a majority in the House, just not as big as what previous pollsters have been thinking. Some pollsters have been saying that they're going to have about 10 seats, 10 seats picked up from that, and they'll have a slight majority in the House. And so we'll have to keep watching those races. One of the races we were talking to you about that was here in Montana. Zink has pulled ahead here with almost 50, almost a 5-point lead with 94% reporting. Again, we're still waiting on the results there, but that is a brief summary of what's going on in the House elections at the moment. The real kicker here is over here in the Senate. The Senate is still up for grabs. We have just received election results. As we were telling you last night, Pennsylvania went for Fetterman. No one was really seeing that coming after the debate performance. However, he's won that state by 2 points. One thing that happened overnight was that Wisconsin was called for the incumbent Republican there, Johnson. So now that is giving basically a free-for-all. At the moment, the Senate is undecided. The Democrats or the Republicans can really pull out a victory here either way. Currently, we're seeing poll results in Georgia. Now, Georgia right now has advanced to a runoff election. Georgia will not be decided within this month. It will be decided in the runoff election December 6th, I believe. Now, we have to remember something here. The person who's going to win this race is the one who can turn their voters back out to vote again in that Senate runoff election. And whoever can convince these voters, these libertarian voters, to come out and vote for either one of them. So this is going to be a key Senate race. Now, we're going to go back to Georgia here in a second because I want to talk about it. But going briefly to the other Senate races we have here, look at Nevada. Nevada's changed overnight as well. We've seen great gains on this front, if the map will actually work. We take a look at that. Don't worry about it. We're just going to look at this one over here. Laxalt has pulled ahead in front of the incumbent Cortez. At the moment, it's about 22,000 votes ahead of the incumbent there. If we go ahead and take a look at this county in Reno, with Washoe County, there's 76% of the vote in, and Laxalt is still leading there by about 4 points, which is actually quite interesting. If you go ahead and look back in 2020, Nevada, this is not a county that is seen as a Republican lead county. However, there's still a lot of votes to be counted in Reno, and tentatively speaking, urban voters tend to vote Democrat. However, in the exit polling data that we've been seeing from Nevada, we're seeing that a majority of urban voters are actually favoring Laxalt in this race. So we'll have to keep an eye on that there. Theoretically, Nevada could possibly swing red in this race. If we go back to the USA map, we can go to Arizona over here. The counties here are actually looking very interesting. We take a look at Coconino County here. More votes are coming in for Kelly here. Overall in the state, Kelly is leading by about 5 points. Now, there's still a lot of votes left to be counted here. You can see that we were talking about with Maricopa County here in Phoenix. Kelly is still pulling ahead by about 7 points. Now, this county in 2020 was a very contested county. A lot of those late-term votes that came in were Trump votes in 2020. We're still looking to see what that's going to be like. But remember, Biden only won this county by about 2 points. If we look back to Maricopa County as it currently stands, 71% in. We got about 7-point lead here. So it really is going to come down to what those mail-in ballots that are starting to count now, what they're going to look like here in this county, what that late count's going to look like. And so that's the race. That right now is the race. There are these 3 states. These are what's going to decide the control of the Senate. We're going to have an interactive map here for you. We want to do some scenarios for you. Say, for example, Arizona. Let's say that Kelly keeps the lead there in Arizona. Right? That puts Democrats at 49 Senate seats, and Republicans are at 49 as well. Now remember, Democrats only have to take 50. That's all they have to do because they control the White House. 50 votes is all they have to do. Then, let's say, for example, that Laxalt takes and keeps up the lead in Nevada, and he takes the state. That would be a flip. Now Republicans have to pick up 1 more seat, and that's Georgia. All eyes are on Georgia. If Herschel Walker can't pull something out, the Republicans will lose the Senate again. If he doesn't pull something out, then the Democrats will retain the Senate. That is what the race is currently looking like. And again, this may not be a thing here. If perhaps maybe if the Republican challenger in Arizona picks something up, they wouldn't need Georgia. And if Nevada keeps going, there you go, 51 right then and there. And in Georgia, it wouldn't matter in that case. However, Republicans need 2 of these seats, right? If Georgia were to go that way, if Arizona goes in, that right there, and Warnock wins again in Georgia, that is what you're going to be seeing, 50-50, another 50-50 split, Kamala Harris being the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. The interesting thing about this whole race tonight has been, or today, sorry, the whole interesting thing about this race is that the Republican wave did not materialize. The red wave didn't materialize in this race. Republicans vastly underperformed what was perceived to be a massive red wave incoming. You had many independent voters splitting their ballots in places like Georgia, where many people voted for the Republican Governor Kemp, but did not vote for Republican Herschel Walker. And so these are things we have to keep in mind as we go out throughout this election season. As we just go back to the gubernatorial races, what's interesting in the state of Arizona that might be a breath of life to the different senators there is the Kari Lake race in Arizona. She's only 1 point, not even that, behind Hobbs in this race. They're still waiting on more results to come in there. 72% reporting. It's still a very close race. My buddy Chad, let's look at his race over there in Oregon. This is also another close race. We haven't seen a Republican even have a chance here in Oregon for a long period of time. This right here is going to be a very interesting race, a very interesting outcome, depending on how it goes. Look at Johnson right here, 8.8%. That's interesting. That's very interesting. You can see the amount of votes that have been pulled away from the main Democratic candidate here. Dresden, that's the sole reason Dresden has an advantage here, because they don't have to compete with anyone else. Kotek has to compete with Johnson. So we have to keep watching that election. And just to give you guys an update on the Utah races here, the Senate race was called for Mike Lee. More votes are still coming in as we're talking about that. We look at Salt Lake County. They're about 47% reporting here. As you can see, still more votes coming in from McMullen. Summit County started to report as well. Take a look at that, 60% of the vote in, and still McMullen. We were saying last night that these were going to be big counties for McMullen votes, and the race has actually gotten wider as opposed to smaller like we were predicting. So 14 points ahead Lee is still at the Senate race. So it's very conceivable. It's actually incredibly truthful to say that Mike Lee will win in the state of Utah, even with only 64% of the votes still being tallied. That is your brief Republican matchup. This is your brief election coverage. We'll probably do another one of these depending on when Nevada and Arizona decide to get called. Georgia will be going to a Senate runoff election in December 6th. If you're watching this down in Georgia, I don't know how you'd be, but if you are, make sure you go out to vote in that race. Make your voice heard no matter what. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the UVU Reviews election coverage. We'll keep you posted on any future broadcasts. Make sure to tune into our election runoff coverage of Georgia's Senate race back on December 6th. So thank you so much for